Hey, as it turns out, we have been having some complications, but Fez is going to be happening later. That is the plan for now. We're jumping over to 1980X with Moonblaze Wolf. Hello there, Moonblaze.
Hey, how's it going, Brosencha?
Pretty dang good. It's been a good morning.
Nice, yeah, it's been a lot of fun so far.
Yeah, the first two runs, they were super fast. You know, they were both very much underestimate. This game, 1980X, I don't know too much about it, but I have seen you running it a little bit, and it's been a fantastic watch so far. So I think we're ready whenever you are ready to begin. If you need to introduce it, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I can just do a quick introduction. So this is the reason a lot of people probably haven't seen this game is it is a small indie game. It's only been out probably for about 4 or 5 months, but it was a pretty popular Kickstarter before that. It was developed by a Swedish video game studio called Hybit Studios. And basically, it's kind of a love letter to all of the 80s arcade games that we all play. Well, I aged myself by saying that, but that a lot of us played growing up. Unlike the first couple speedruns that you saw today, this game is not particularly broken. There's a couple glitches, but the main one that we can do in the speedrun actually softlocks the game about 25% of the time, so I'm not even going to do it. But basically, It's just about optimizing the play and getting through the games as fast as possible. So I think I'll go ahead and get started. And then for each of the individual games, I'll go ahead and kind of give a little overview. They will probably look familiar because, again, like I said, they're all sort of based on old arcade classics that a lot of people played. Or, as I found out recently, you can find at your local barcade if you go hang out there for a pint and a night of video games or something like that. So
I'm in small town Utah. That's not happening.
Well, you know what? I live in Fargo, and we have a barcade here, so just saying.
We could open one. Okay.
But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm playing the no cutscenes category. There's about 13 or 14 minutes of amazing pixel-rendered, awesome cutscenes that I'm going to unfortunately be skipping, but everybody should go check them out on their own if they get a chance. We've got our 5 games here, starting with Beating Heart, and time is going to start when I select Beating Heart, and I'm just going to play through all 5 of them till I get to the end of the game. So I'll go ahead and get started in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Best of luck.
Thank you. So a little bit more just kind of about the game, because it does have a lot of story elements that, like I said, unfortunately we're skipping a lot of, but I can give you a broad overview, which is we are playing as our hero throughout the game, whose name is Kid. Kid is non-binary, which is really cool, and they are growing up in suburbia in the year 1980X, and they're kind of figuring their way through adolescence through the video games that they find in their local arcade. So I'm not going to say specifically what each of the games are modeled after, but you're going to get a pretty good sense. They're all different as well. I kind of like to think that as a speedrun, it's a little bit of it's like variety hour almost, because I kind of play 5 different games, not just one game, which is sort of interesting. But yeah, we're going to be starting.
Have chat guess.
Absolutely. Yep.
Go ahead and guess away, chat.
It won't take long, I suspect, to figure it out.
I was going to say railway simulator, but no, I don't think so. Okay.
Yeah, so this is kind of like, Final Fight, those kinds. This is actually really interesting. So there's 5 mini games, like I said. 2 of them are actually auto-scrollers, so there's not a whole heck of a lot that we can really do to optimize. As far as like doing PB attempts and stuff like that, Beating Heart is pretty much the only one of the games that you have a lot of control over that can impact sort of what your time ends up as. And it's all about optimization. So a couple things I'm doing, you probably noticed already. I'm jumping rather than running because jumping is faster. I'm also running to the end of the loading zones at the beginning of each. Oops, I didn't mean to get knocked down there. I'm also running to the end of the loading zone at each location, which does spawn in more enemies. So hopefully I won't take too. I typically take a death, but it's still faster. The other thing is a little more subtle. It's the fighting technique that I'm using. When you hit the fourth input, because it's just kind of like a fight input, you'll notice that Kid does a roundhouse kick.
Yes.
Well, the annoying thing about the roundhouse kick, or if like I do a jump kick like I did there, it knocks the enemy down, and then you have to wait for them to get back up. So instead what I do is I try to do 3 inputs and then pause for just a second, and then when it starts over, it does another punch, and you never knock the enemy down. So it essentially stun locks them and allows you to kind of take them all out without having to wait for them to get back up. Now, when you get a lot of enemies on the screen, things do get kind of problematic. They also do have like different reach links, and so sometimes you do just kind of wail on them and not worry too much about it, or like you can kind of do a cool throw there. But yeah, I did take a death, unfortunately. But it's sort of just all about optimizing, and there's only a couple things you can really do to optimize, but considering the nature of the game is pretty rigid, it's nice for a speedrun because it's fairly consistent, but it also means that, you know, if I lose 10 or 15 seconds on Beating Heart, there's really not a ton of places I can make up that time later in the speedrun. These are the worst. These are the worst 2 guys, by the way, this big guy and the guy with the bat, because like they have horribly different like hitboxes. I'm actually gonna I was gonna try to knock them both down so I could almost reset a little bit there. Yeah, that didn't go very well for me. Unfortunately, you get some kind of weird enemy patterns sometimes, and that was one of the worst.
Yeah, it seems really difficult to deal with there.
It usually goes a lot smoother than that. That wasn't great on my, but it happens. I'll try to get a little swag here. There we go. But yeah, so each of the games itself is pretty short. So that was the first game already. I'm actually at the end of it. It's only 2 levels.
Oh, nice.
One of the things they have said about this game, because it is a Kickstarter and they put so much work into, you get a little bit of a sense here of like the pixel art there in the background and just some of the things that they did to really make the game beautiful. You know, obviously that all takes a lot of work. So what they said is they wanted to release a finished product more or less on time, but they are going to do a part 2 to this game sometime next year. So,
ooh,
so there will be more of this if you like it.
Okay, good to know. I did like all the guesses for the last mini game though. Double Dragon, Simpsons Arcade. Yeah, I felt the Simpsons watching that. Streets of Rage.
Yeah,
which
Streets
is
of
one
Rage.
of the old classics for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So, but yeah, we're switching gears pretty dramatically here, going to the second game, which is called Out of the Void. This one's an auto scroller, so essentially there's a couple little things I can do to optimize it, but it's mostly just not dying.
We did, by the way, get a $5 donation from Endosoma. And they said, sorry, I can't spare more right now, but here's one for the Pizza Wolf. Looking forward to the Crash Bandicoot and Twilight Princess runs especially, but best of luck to all the Floofy runners.
Hey, thank you for that donation.
Do you like... Well, of course you like pizza. Who doesn't like pizza?
I do. My Twitch channel is very pizza themed, pizza inspired, you might say. So,
pizza, the biggest inspiration of them all.
Absolutely. So one little optimization, I didn't do it great there, but since it is an auto scroller, as soon as you get more speed, there's actually only 1 speed boost in the game, but you get it right away. So the faster you get it, the faster the background goes. So that was one little thing right there. I'm essentially just kind of keeping the path clear for myself at this point, so.
That's fair. And there are a lot of space shooters out there.
Yeah, I found a new one at that barcade I was mentioning when I was there the other day, and I was thinking to myself, like, it's pretty cool that I can warm up for my speedrun just playing random games at the arcade.
Yeah, that's great. What do you remember what that one's called?
It was like Korean or Japanese. I know Ferric Fox, if he's in chat, we were playing it together, so he might remember the name. I think he maybe took a picture of of it, but yeah, he can share that if he has it. Here's our first mini boss. I'm kind of just waiting for him to not be invincible anymore, and then if I hit him with a full powered shot, he pretty much goes down right away. So there you go. That was our first mini boss. Now we're gonna fly into an asteroid field. I learned during one of my practice runs the other day that these asteroids will kill you in one shot. Normally you have 3 hits before you die, but the asteroids, I guess, are the exception to that rule, and I did not know that until maybe like 2 days ago. So we're going to be careful here. That's the one that killed me.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And we got our first actual boss here. Kind of cool, but very pattern-driven, so you kind of know the pattern, you know how to avoid the attacks, and then just keep your fire on it, and should go down pretty quickly here. There we go. The second stage here, so Out of the Void, also has 2 stages currently. This one is a little bit more intense because you have these turrets that are going to fire a lot more projectiles. And there's also environment that you can run into, so there's going to be a lot more stuff for me to dodge, and unfortunately I did just take a hit there, but I got 2 more, so I'll be fine, hopefully.
I mean, that's why you have shields. You're fine. You're good.
Although my ship starts to kind of like leak after a certain point, which gets a little bit disturbing to watch. But thankfully, I know I won't explode until I take that 3rd hit. If I was actually like the pilot of the ship when that was going on, I would probably like be freaking out a little bit. But we're good. So
yeah, you're like, I know my ship can't explode this much before I die.
Yep, that was the hardest spot right there. By the way, I had to get through that gap really quickly and take out the turret, otherwise you're in this tiny enclosed space with a bunch of projectiles and it's pretty miserable. So I should be good from here on out. The final boss, oh crap, and then as soon as I said that, I caught behind an awful spray pattern, but thankfully the final boss is pretty safe, so I'm not too worried about that, and that'll be coming up here in a second. So I just need to not die for a moment because I don't want to go all the way back to the beginning of this level. That would stink. All right, and final boss is coming up here. Thankfully, that thing can't hit me.
Oh, good.
Unfortunate, yeah. There's a pretty safe spot. I'm just kind of lining up with one of the background graphics here. And then the only thing that can really hurt me is that green thing when it breaks up into a bunch of other projectiles. But if you kind of just dodge up at the right time, it won't hit you. Everything else you're pretty safe from right here.
That's Mr. Grabby Hands here.
Yeah, kind of keep my distance. You can technically kill him a little bit faster if you get close, but then you also lose a little bit of reaction time. And considering I only had 1 hit left before I exploded, I didn't really feel like accidentally taking a death because I was being too aggressive. So one thing I'll just also mention for the speedrun, because like there's a set time when I'm backing out of each of these games to go back to the main menu. We kind of decided those. This is actually a pretty new speedrun because, like I said, it's a pretty new game as well. And we kind of decided on the rules for each of these. So we wanted to have a speedrun that was consistent for playing through the full game, but also if you just wanted to like play individual levels and try to get that on the leaderboard as well. So we wanted to make sure we had consistent timing rules for all of that. So we're already at the 3rd of the 5 mini games, the Runaway. And this one is, you know, very, very pretty. They definitely get some style points for this one, especially at the end. So you'll be able to look forward to that in a second. Again, very different here. You'll see in just a second what we're going to be doing.
Oh, it's Ridge Racer.
Yeah, it's like Outrun or
California.
All these, yeah. So, pretty cool. It's not the greatest racing game ever, but it definitely feels like you're driving a car, and Generally, when you're driving a car, the main objective is to not run into anything. So that holds true for this as well. So not too much to really say other than that. You can certainly optimize, your route and your speed through braking, just the right amount so that you don't go off the side of the road. But yeah, see, because like I got a little too aggressive there and I skidded out a little bit, unfortunately. But there's only so much you can kind of save or time loss or time gain that you can make in this game as well. So it's generally pretty tight for the speedrun, just in the sense that you don't lose or gain too much in this game either. You just kind of want to like if you have a really good beating heart and you're going for a good time, you kind of just want to hold through the 3 middle games, and then there's a lot of potential time save or things in the final game that I'll talk about when I get there as well. So
oh geez, I was always terrible at drivers like this, or driving games like this, but I'm sorry, I shouldn't make the noises. That's like I'm stressed out.
It's okay. I'm definitely a little stressed out when I get too close to that border too. I don't wanna use my brakes because it's a speed run, but it's definitely preferred to flying off the side of the road. And I had to dodge that car there. That was pretty intense. Whew.
Oh geez, yeah, you are definitely having to maneuver quite a bit in order to stay on the road. I love it though. This is wow.
I don't know how well the game audio is coming through too, but like the soundtrack of this game is just unbelievable. The reason I love it as a speedrun, I think I'm traditionally more of an RPG speedrunner. I'm mostly known for Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise Randomizer, but I heard I was sitting in one of Puexel's streams once, and he said, if you're gonna speedrun a game, make sure it has music that you like, because you're gonna hear it over and over and over again.
Yeah, that's my mistake.
I really took that to heart, and that's one of the reasons I love playing this game is, I could just play this game forever just to, see some of the graphics and hear the music because it's so well done. So
hey, we have a $100 donation.
Oh man.
From True Grave 9. Oh my gosh. I know you, True Grave. Your art is fantastic. Thank you so much.
True Grave, thank you for that donation. Holy crap. This is kind of like the one cutscene that we do in the speedrun, because I'm obviously still driving the car, so we can't skip out of it. But if anybody else has any more donations, or if any more donations have come in, this is a really good time to read donations.
Oh yeah, it looks like we're still waiting on some donations. We had that really big one just come in. Thank you so much, True Grave. It's just good to have you here. I do know that we have some other incentives coming up. We did meet the Hollow Knight Path of Pain. Now we're working towards Deltarune, the Devil Fight exhibition. We'll get that as soon as we hit 1250. But remember, if you want to choose a file name for Ocarina of Time 3D, that has no donations for that yet. You just have to put in your comment that you want to put it towards blank as your file name for Ocarina of Time 3D, and we will go ahead and add the money towards that bid war.
I'm just going to be quiet for a second because I just love the song right here. But yeah, and also like I'm mentally preparing myself for the 4th game because it's by far the hardest of the 5. So
okay, let's listen. Kick back.
Time to put your pixel shades on.
Oh yeah.
just about the escape. It was about transformation. For every visit I made, every game I uncovered, every move I mastered, I felt stronger, more confident.
One other thing I'll just mention really quick as we get to the end here is this
Some guys said I
never been speedrun in a marathon, or so it's kind of like the world premiere for a charity event. So I'm pretty excited about that and really happy to share it with everybody because I've been working on this game as a speedrun ever since it came out. I'm the current world record holder, but our community is extremely small, so I don't know if that really means much of anything. But it's a great first speedrun game if anybody is looking for one.
And it looks like that's it. Do you end on the bridge? Is that as far as you can go?
You just end when the timer gets to 0, and it goes. There's a little message that pops up that says "time up." One little thing I did to optimize that is I hit the brakes really hard at about 3 seconds, so that my car was already stopped when I got to 0.
Gotcha.
So you want to get as much cutscene as you can, but you also want to make sure you're ready to back out of that cutscene as soon as you can. So this is Shadowplay. This is the hardest of the 4 mini games in my opinion. It's actually the longest as well. There's 5 stages that we're going to have to go through, and it's very on brand for the Furry Marathon here, as you'll see in just a moment.
Yeah, I'd say so. Good old Kitsune Mask here.
Indeed. There's some woos later on too. It's good to woo in chat when we get to that part, and I will point out when that is coming up.
You really don't need to woo, but woos are fine.
It's an woo. Don't worry, you're
oh,
safe.
Good. Oh, thank goodness.
So again, it's an auto scroller, so there's not a whole heck of a lot that I can really do to optimize. I can't really do much to speed up either, so again, it's mainly about not dying, and the game is difficult enough that can be challenging if you lose your focus a little bit, so it throws a lot at you.
I'm trying to remember what game this reminds me of.
I mean, if it wasn't an auto-scroller, I would say it reminds me of like a sort of game.
Which one? Strider?
Strider, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, other old school sort of arcade games with ninjas and swords and stuff and shinobi. I mean, Karateka was a pretty big one, but this one is fast, very comparatively.
Yes. Our first little mini boss here. We're going to see a few of those witches throughout the run or throughout the game. And
the attack is definitely Strider, though.
Yeah. And the one little thing about the game, probably not obvious, but I have a power bar in the lower right, and as I pick up those orbs, because we love orbs in speedruns, my sword gets longer and more powerful.
Aha.
I'm also really glad the music didn't break, because occasionally the music will break between stages, and then you don't get to hear this cool, the cool tunes that come along with this one. Those spikes will automatically kill you, by the way. So there's a lot more of the instant death type stuff in Shadowplay as well, which makes it a lot more challenging.
Yeah.
I haven't really had to do any jump mechanics coming up, but we'll have some of those coming up soon too, where it's like, if I fall into the pit, I die. So, and I am not a platforming gamer, so like this was definitely the hardest of the mini games for me to learn as well, just from that perspective, because like I said earlier, I tend to stick to my RPGs, and platforming is not something I'm typically very good at, but it's good to learn something new.
Oh yeah, I agree. And even I think every speedrunner breaks out of their own sort of niche once in a while. You know, it's good to see you doing this.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. And it's like, you know, the variety, it's almost like you're kind of learning, kind of learning different speedruns all at once in a lot of regards. So it's been really good practice for me as someone who's relatively new to speedrunning, to kind of just learn how to learn a new game and, you know, things like that. So I'm getting some weird graphical glitch on my end. I'm not sure if that's coming through all the way. It's a little extra shaky, so sorry about that if you're noticing that on the main feed. I should not be vibrating like that.
Okay, yeah, you are shaky.
That's there, it stopped. I don't know what that was. I've never seen that. That's never happened before. Okay, so this is the 4th stage. This is the hardest one. There's a lot of ways that I can instantly die here into the pits and the jumping mechanics. So, and, you know, some required slides and other fun things. So, but so far so good. I've got 5 health. I have taken 2 hits, unfortunately, but we're still going to be just fine. As long as I don't fall into a hole or jump into some spikes or something like that. This is also the stage that has the Awus, so I will try to point out when those are coming.
Uh-oh.
Prepare yourself.
I suppose I'm prepared. Yeah, I don't believe that was the first "that's never happened before" moment in this marathon. We had one during Owlboy as well.
That was the Awu, by the way. Sorry, I didn't prompt. I was so focused, I forgot coming too. So, but yeah, there's a pretty solid Awu after in the middle of that sequence there. So, and I always Awu in chat. Oh my gosh, I jumped too early. This is what happens when you commentate your own speedruns sometimes.
Oh no!
It's okay. We'll just get to do the Awu now.
Oh yeah!
That's why, yeah. That's why I did that, is so that we
yeah,
could...
you had to, you know, absolutely can't
Yes.
leave us without the Awu.
That's very important.
It looks like a lot of people in chat realized it. They Awu'd.
Okay, good. I know that I play this game on my stream a lot. If people have watched it on my stream, they probably know when it is coming and can react accordingly.
Well, chat, go ahead and get all of your Awu emotes and, you know, other bits of excitement for that ready, because I want to see them.
I'm just going to focus, so I'm not going to say anything else, and then everybody can Awu at the appropriate time. Awoo!
Awoo! Yeah. I don't think I saw it. I didn't even see it.
It's not a visual Awu. It is a auditory.
Oh, I have sound off. Oh my gosh.
Oh, well, you heard me, so that's good enough, right?
Yeah, that was pretty fantastic. Good job. I'm very proud of your Awu.
Well, you know, it comes with the territory, so. All right, and I made it through that platforming sequence that time. I don't know why I fell off the first time, but it's okay. We're almost to the end of this stage here. Now we've just got the final boss.
Heck yeah.
So this final boss reminds me of something, and you'll see what I mean here in just a second. It's really, really well done, in my opinion. So it's a pretty intense fight, but the attacks are all scripted, so I know how to dodge all of them. But when you're playing it casually, this is very, very difficult. Especially the second half.
By the way, it does look like we have some donations coming in.
Go for it.
B Dragon 28 gave $50 and said, "What about Awu in donations? Is that okay?" Yeah, 100%. Kess and Chu gave $25, and they say, "If it's speedrunning and it's for a good cause, count me in. Good luck to all the runners. Cheers from Brazil." Yeah, Kess and Chu is a regular in my stream. It's awesome to see you over here. Thank you for stopping on by. Ferric gave $10. Says, yay, welcome back to the 80s. A woo! And let's go fast for the kids.
Thank you so much for all those donations. All right, so here's the final sequence here. These attacks start coming pretty fast, but thankfully, like I said, it follows a pattern, so I basically know how to dodge them.
I don't like this thing's like throat tongue.
Yeah, it's very like it's like a kind of like a Oni demon or something like that. So, but he's done chasing us. We've escaped. So.
Oh, go away. Yeah, good.
I think the music died. Oh well.
Dang it. They even
All right.
said in American Pie, don't do that.
I know. It's my fault for taking that death. I'm sure that's what did it. So, but yeah, we just have one more mini game left here. This is the one that's sort of billed as the RPG, but basically it's the RNG fest. So, yeah, I'm going to be crawling around in a maze, and I have to get to level 3. Once I get to level 3, I basically can't die. But before I get to level 3, I'm completely at the mercy of the game's RNG. So, it's more, I would say it's probably like 25% of the time you don't die, 25% or 50% of the time you die, but you die like at the beginning, so it's not that bad, and then 25% of the time you die like right before the first boss, which is the worst. So here's hoping for one of those two less bad outcomes. So we're crawling through this maze. Basically the way it works is I have 3 different attacks, and I have a heal. I can only use the heal once per battle, but I can use any of my attacks beyond that. All of the enemies are weak to one of the 3 attacks. So again, once you sort of learn the game, you learn which attacks the enemies are weak to, and it becomes a lot easier, especially once you get past that point where you don't have to worry about getting killed by stuff anymore, which is level 3 usually, unless you make a mistake. So I did get 2 good encounters at the beginning. This is the guy that always screws me up. So we'll see how he wants to play today. I should be fine for this encounter. It's going to be the next one that could be problematic.
Yeah, this is definitely a dungeon crawler like game here.
Yeah, you'll also you'll notice a couple of Easter eggs in the messages that pop up. So be on the lookout for those. I have not seen this guy this early in a run before, so I don't know if this is good or bad for me right now. There's like 5 or 6 different enemy types, and in this one I'm used to seeing way more towards like the end of the dungeon, so...
Huh.
Yeah, that's RNG for you though, right? So, I mean, we got through them. I'm going to get level 3 here, so we should be fine.
Oh, good.
There's one of those little Easter eggs there, by the way.
Oh, good old Zelda 2, the best of the Zeldas.
Indeed. But yep, I'm just making my way to the first dragon boss, and I'm in pretty good shape right now, so hopefully this will be a nice, flawless kill screen. So here's our first baddie. He likes to do a preemptive attack. The other ones don't, thankfully.
Well, I kind of like his stance.
Yeah, they're the sprites are very cool, and they have some really neat attacks. So, all right, one more hit will do it, and I'll be level 4. Couple little micro optimizations that you can do in this. I'm backpedaling out of the boss fights so that I don't have to turn until I get to the spot where I would normally turn, so that saves a couple frames there.
Good.
You can, if you have a pretty good sense for how many hit points the enemies are, you see that target kind of locking in. You do your max damage when the target gets to the middle, but sometimes you don't need to do your max attack. So if you kind of know when you can just sort of like spam the button as opposed to doing a full attack, that definitely helps a little bit as well. But mostly it's just the RNG, and we did get good RNG this time, so that's great. We always like that.
I'm wondering, can you run into enemies while you're moving backwards?
You can actually.
Oh, okay.
Yep. You could go through this entire dungeon backwards if you wanted to, and you would still get encounters. In fact, the glitch that I was talking about, so there's a glitch on the final boss of this game that saves about 30 to 45 seconds. It's the one that I'm not going to do because unfortunately it does soft lock the game every once in a while. But you actually backpedal into an encounter to trigger that glitch. It's kind of weird how it works. I can maybe try to explain it when we get to the final boss, but I'm not actually going to do it, so I'm not sure if that's really vital. It's cool though. If you check out like my world record runs and stuff like that, you'll see the glitch, and it's visually it's very interesting. So there's something fun about that. Basically, you load in a basic encounter or like a normal encounter, and then the final boss loads in like behind it, so it sort of screws the game up, and it doesn't really know what to do when that happens.
Wow, go to your room. Yeah, thank you, Goat Mom.
This is very. This particular mini game is at the part of the story where you are not having a good relationship with your mom. So you'll see that it's a little bit subtle at some points, but it'll be very, very obvious by the end. Yeah, we're just making our way through the maze here. It's kind of like a maze because the monsters or the three dragons are all in the same spots. So I just have to make my way to them. The maze itself doesn't change between runs. You would think for all the RNG that they put into like the encounters and stuff, they would maybe like shuffle the maze around a little bit. That would be kind of interesting, but alas, it is a fixed maze. And I've lab ratted this maze enough to know where everything is, so it's not really a maze anymore.
Do your homework? Crap, I need to grade homework. Maybe tomorrow.
Nice. All right, so we're coming up on the final dragon here. The final boss will load in right after the last of the three dragons, so we're coming up to the end pretty quick here.
Oh, cool.
All right, so there he goes. So I'm just going to wait here for the final boss to load in. The glitch, like I said, you backpedal out of this. The game doesn't keep you from moving. And then if you hit a random encounter before the boss loads in, it totally freaks it out. It doesn't know what to do. But instead, we're going to do kind of like the slow version. This is a boss that you can't actually kill the boss. What you have to do is use all of your attacks twice. And once you go through the sequence, it just kind of retreats and you complete the game. You're going to see like these little messages and like it pauses for several seconds in between each of the attacks. When you do the glitched final encounter, it lets you kind of input them all right away, and that's also the reason that it can soft lock pretty easily is if you overload it with those commands. I assume it has to do with like the way it does the cutscene triggers as well. It doesn't like that, and sometimes it will just kind of seize up on you. So,
wow, Mother has changed.
Yeah, she is pretty intense. I will also just mention really, if anybody is sensitive to kind of like flashing lights and stuff, it's not too bad, but it does get pretty intense for a few seconds. So you might want to just avoid that until we get to the end. Yeah, I've done all the inputs now, so I'm just gonna wait for the meltdown here, I guess.
Fun.
End of discussion. You're grounded, mister.
Wow.
Okay, and that's the end of the flashing light segment for anybody who was averting their eyes. And now we get to just kind of the I guess it's sort of the end of the game for now. I have one more set of inputs that I have to do, and then time will be when the 1980X logo comes up at the end of this cutscene. So we're almost to the end here.
Sweet. Yeah, significantly underestimate. You did pretty dang good.
So yeah, I kind of accounted for deaths and bad RNG in my estimate. And then I added a minute on top of that once I realized that I couldn't do the final boss glitch anymore because I didn't want to soft lock during a marathon. So my world record is like 34, 32, I think. But the run is very, very consistent, like 36, 37 minutes. So again, if you're looking for a new speedrun game, if you haven't really speedrun games before, this is pretty much just kind of like get really good and play the game optimally at this point. That is a perfectly valid way of doing speedruns. So if you like what you saw, if you like the game, it's on PC, PS4, and I think it's coming out on the Switch soon. So it's pretty cheap, pretty easy to pick up, and we have a pretty small speedrun community. We'd love to have you. Thank you so much. And that is
Just beginning.
time.
Well, they hit time a little earlier, but that's okay.
I was kind
There
of
we go.
You
wrapping
saw
up.
nothing. Don't worry, you saw nothing.
Oh man, I'm sure I just got a slightly better time because of that. But yeah, so I did have that one death, which you never want to really have deaths. But then I got like perfect RNG in kill screen. So I guess 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I will take that. And thank you everybody so much for having me. I'm so proud of everybody who has contributed to this event, putting it on, whether it's speedrunners, volunteers, hosts, or anybody else that's even just helping to spread the word and donate. I think it was mentioned that I've been kind of doing some of the organizing, but it takes so many people to do this, and we're having a great time doing it. I hope you're all having fun right now, and you're going to have fun. We're going to be doing this for another 32, 33 hours or so. So there's a lot more to come, and I hope you all stick around over the weekend to watch all these amazing runs.
Thank you so much. This was a blast, and I'm really glad how things are already going. This has been a fantastic marathon. Take care, Mr.
Thanks.
Blaze Wolf.
Thank you.